Hello, hello, Carrie. Greetings. I'm very fine. I hope all of you are doing good. I'm right now in a hill station called Manali in Himachal Pradesh, and I took a break this Sunday from satsang, but I wanted to be with you, so I thought I'll do a live, and the decision was spontaneous. I'm fine. Ritesh, thank you. I'm fine. Hope you all are doing well too. Right now, as I told you, I am in a beautiful hill station called Manali, and the scenery is beautiful. The mountains are beautiful. The air is fresh. It's quiet, and Nitin says your face looks different. Yes, because I'm wearing glasses. You know, for text messages, I need glasses. I'm getting old now. Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya. Mithya, which is translated as illusion. But it's not quite illusion as we understand in English. Ankit is saying, are you getting old or the body? I want to ask who's asking the question. Who wants to know? Love from Assam, Kishore. Thank you. Feel free to ask anything or share anything. My love for the mountains always brings me here in the Himalayas. Kerry says, been watching much older videos of yours. Delivery is slightly different, and what a treasure. Yes, yes, the apparent entity, the person continues to evolve, becomes better in delivery skills. So yeah, that is happening, I'm sure. Moreover, some time back I did not have good equipment also to record videos. So now, thanks to your support, I'm able to get a good. I'm able to get some good equipment to record videos. Irina, love from Toronto. Kerry says, yes, the evolution. Oh, the messages are disappearing. How do I correct that? quality is fine enough to get the gist. Wonderful. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you. Yes, Manali is peaceful and beautiful. Is the message disappearing common? Why are the messages disappearing so quickly? I'm not even able to read them properly and they disappear. I don't know if that's a regular thing or is there a change in my setting? Kartin says, do you still perceive the world like a human being? Is there still a center? Well, there definitely is a notion of a center, and there definitely is a perception from that center. I will not deny that. I won't say that there is just no perception from the center. The center is required because without that center, interpersonal communication cannot happen. So, yes, I do. Yes, the center is still there. It's just that the solidity of that center, the concreteness of that center, is not as much as it used to be. Is everyone's mind is individual? I think yes, the mind is, in appearance, in the dream, the mind is individual. Just as in the dream world also, the minds shift. Sometimes you are this, sometimes you are that. So in the waking world also, sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that. So yes, in appearance, the minds are different. But the one consciousness that powers that mind, that gives existence to it, is the same. Somebody asked, how is spiritual awakening different from depression? I think I answered this in one of my videos. And the thing is that we have come up with these terminologies, depression, and we associate a certain way of thinking with it. Let me explain. Oh my God, the messages are so fast, it's very difficult for me to keep up. So anyways, my point was that depression, when it happens, it is from the place of centeredness, the separate self. And if you notice, it is constantly pointing inwards. It's a sense that I am not understood. People do not understand me. I want to be understood a certain way. When awakening happens, the intensity may still happen just as in depression, but this sense of separateness is now not that solid anymore. So you will experience both in spiritual awakening. You will experience the depression, but you will also experience a lot of joy. So you will notice, or let's say they will be noticing, that depression is not your constant state, and not even the euphoria or the high or the pleasure that you experience, that also is not a constant state. Okay, Kishore says, lately I've been feeling extremely conscious of every little thing I do. Oh my God. Please just hold on. Let me try to change the orientation because the messages are disappearing and I'm not able to catch up. So please bear with me. I guess the messages are disappearing so fast, I'm unable to actually okay. Okay. I think I'm now able to scroll the messages. So yes. Okay. So Catherine says, do you see another person? Yes, I do see another person. I do see another person, yes. But I also see what powers that person. And what powers that person, the current of consciousness, is also the same that powers me. So the sameness, the common essence, is a recognition, it's a realization. It is not an intellectual understanding. Shiv Shankar says, I want you to feel blessed from my side because you were my spiritual guide in my dark night of the soul. Thank you, Shiv. I hope you're feeling much better now. Is depression not just an illusion? It is all an illusion. Even the happiness is an illusion. Whatever highs and lows we experience are all illusion. But the baseline awareness, the most natural state, is always here now. Marcus says, hi Jagjot, thanks for your videos. After my own awakening, I saw how most still teach methods or steps, but really there's nothing to do. No path, no outcome, just what is. Yes, just what is. And when that recognition happens, this also becomes apparent that there is no awakening, there is nobody to awaken. That is the last step. Kishore says, lately I've been feeling extremely conscious of every little thing I do, how I move, speak, even how I think. It's like I'm watching myself constantly and it makes me feel robotic, not truly free. So you are still watching yourself from a perspective because there is still some idea over there that things should be a certain way. When your vision is total, then there will be no concern whether whether one feels robotic or not. So analyze this me, look at this me, what this me is, who thinks or feels. Where does that thinking and feeling and perception, where does it come from? Priya says, your calmness is inspiring me to meditate. Beautiful, do meditate. Okay, P. Chavda says, how can spiritual growth be balanced with everyday responsibilities and relationships? Well, you see, there is, on this path, there is no other practice other than to engage in relationships. So, your daily interaction, your responsibilities and relationship is your teaching ground. Other than that, there is no recommended practice that you have to do separately. So, use relationships to grow your spiritual knowledge. That's what I would say. The challenges that we face in relationships actually starts to bring us close to our essence. Okay, Carrie, thank you so much. I think I figured it out. I figured out how to scroll the messages and hold them. Is there still desire within you, or is everything more neutral? So desire comes up sometimes. Desire comes up, it is witnessed, and then it is released. I don't pay much attention to its fulfillment. That is the only thing. So, even the sage will experience the arising of desire. Now, I am not a sage, but according to this concept, as Ramesh told, even a sage will experience desire. Desires come in different forms. The only thing is that with this understanding, the sage does not stop life's processes because of one particular desire. And they say that they don't put this kind of condition that I will do this or that, I will not do this or that until that desire gets fulfilled. So the living keeps happening, life keeps happening. And yes, most of the time is spent in that state of neutrality. Because even the experience of desire is like a spike. It comes up, then there is neutrality. It comes down. So conceptually, I explain awakening in this way, that before the awakening, the desires are continuous. So the suffering associated with the desires is also continuous. And then there are moments of relief where we start experiencing our most neutral and natural state. But after awakening, this dynamic begins to switch. Initial period is hard, but then slowly as the understanding gets settled more and more within, the whole script flips. So now we experience more of this neutral state and only momentarily highs and lows. So these highs and these lows do not affect our daily living, and a neutral peace is experienced throughout. That's the idea. Shauna says, turn on slow mode in user navigation dashboard to allow gap between messages. Okay, I cannot do that right now. Right now. Thank you, Shauna. I really appreciate you helping. But I think I don't want to miss anything right now. It's going good, so I will be. I will just scroll, and I think that will be better. Banti Sharma says, what will be the role of Isht Devta after awakening? After awakening, there is no separation between you and your Isht Devta. So you can still pray to your Isht Devta, but now the nature of your prayer will change. You will. So for those who don't know, Isht Devta means a personal God, right? And so whichever God you worship, you see the same essence, the God consciousness within yourself also, So the nature of your prayer will change. You will not ask God, give me this, give me that, take away my pain, or give me happiness. You will not put conditions. You will simply accept the flow of life. And you will say that, give me whatever you think is right. Here's my buddy Sarthak. Seekers often ask how to silence the chattering monkey mind. I wonder if it's the restless mind giving monkeys a bad name. I think yes, that's true, because I think monkeys are probably the most relaxed animals I've ever seen. They're jumping from one branch to another, just having an amazing time, and they live in the moment. For animals, it's like, yes, it is tough for them in the sense that physically life is more challenging for them, but psychologically they're better off than us. So yes, we have actually given this a bad name. We are giving a bad name to the monkeys by saying that monkey mind. I wish we had a monkey mind. Monkey mind to me is actually a spontaneous mind. They just jump from one branch to another. And well, the only thing is that we are comparing the action with the thoughts, the action of the monkeys, like jumping from one branch to another. So, we create, thoughts arise. We don't create, thoughts arise in consciousness. And the central agency takes charge of the thought as it is my thought. But then before even finishing that thought, it jumps to another thought. So we keep getting entangled in thought and thinking, jumping from one branch to another without even doing away with the first thought completely. We jump onto the next thought. So yes, that creates a little bit of a restlessness. And the witnessing of this whole mechanism actually dissolves the monkey mind. Okay, unknown star says, who is born and who dies? Does the mind die? Who owns the mind? So that is the question. That is the main question. Who is born? So first of all, who is asking the question? Who is concerned with birth? Who is concerned with death? Who is concerned with mind? That is to be seen. When you reach this question, there is generally no answer to this question. Because if I say consciousness owns the mind, then consciousness becomes an object of the mind. That which illuminates the mind cannot be known by the mind. Marcus, right remembering is maybe a better word than awakening. Yes, honestly, I don't like the word awakening, but people have recommended that, and so I use it. But I like to use the word understanding, the impersonal understanding, not even a personal understanding, or probably an insight. Again, insight is also impersonal. That means it is not based on understanding in time, but an understanding that is deep within, that goes deep into one's knowing. You just know. There is no thinking, there is no thought associated with it. The moment thought comes into picture, you've already divided it into subject-object split. So that is where it's already lost. How to meditate to recognize pure awareness? Question is by Chiranjeevi. I would say what Nisargadatta Maharaj said: meditate on the meditator. See who is doing the meditation. Okay. When and how did you start your spiritual journey? Question from the High Priestess. Oh dear, that's a long story. I think if we start that, we'll probably spend the whole night talking about my spiritual journey. Well, but I can tell you in short. The journey started in time. If I talk about time, in time, after my father passed away, and that invoked a curiosity as to what happens after death. What is consciousness? What happened to that entity that was my father? So these questions were hounding me at that time. And that is what led to this beautiful, amazing spiritual path. And I never expected that it will bring me so much peace, but it has, and it's been beautiful. Okay. I keep wanting what some people have experienced. For example, feeling that oneness bliss, or a continued stillness, or maybe divine vision. You know, if you talk about experience, you may experience the oneness. You may completely, the mind may completely dissolve at some point, and may take you deep into nirvikalp sahaj samadhi, and give you that, and you know that glimpse may come about. But again, that is a revelation of our true nature, but it is not something that brings us peace. Peace is that recognition even in waking state, the experience of pure nothingness that we have in deep sleep. That same experience in the waking state is peace. That means we do not see things from a filter of right and wrong, good and bad. We see things from a place of complete neutrality. So let the experience or whatever vision come, but creating a desire for a vision will actually block the vision. So okay, Catherine asks, did you go through this terrifying existential void? Yes, that was experienced. In fact, all of us, the pain of existence brings us to spiritual journey. It brings us to this beautiful spiritual exploration. And yes, just like others, I also went through it. I used to work in the corporate sector. I used to do my job. I was with my family. And, I saw complete meaninglessness in what I was doing. And there was this existential void. There was an experience of depression. There was crisis. And my father's death was the final blow. And that started the journey. That started the exploration for finding answers to difficult questions, life questions. But then something amazing happened, and during somewhere in this journey, the questions began dissolving, and they dissolved. So now there's not much concern which questions get answered, whether I know whether I know or I don't know. None of that matters now. So it's all fine. Ooh. Shiv Shankar says, is Suksham Sharir separate self? So now these are two different concepts. These are two different teachings. Suksham Sharir is subtle body. So whenever we talk about body that has separation with the other bodies, that is a part of the separation. So yes, it is. Irina says, Vasanas are very strong, even though realization happened in me, happened, or maybe it is because now I recognize everything. So, Irina, Vasanas will continue to be strong for some time, even after realization. It's not that the moment awakening happens, the mind drops all the vasanas, all the internal tendencies and traits and proclivities. It doesn't change like that. In fact, what changes is our attitude towards it. So even if vasanas continue, we do not associate much with them. So we understand that body has um, certain samskaras and certain energies that need to be expelled. Now, from society's point of view, that may be good, bad, right, and wrong, but body doesn't understand morality. Body doesn't understand the concept of right and wrong as we have, as we have imagined. So even after awakening, for example, somebody would continue to smoke or drink or engage in sexual behavior or be very explosive. That may still happen. But yes, as one comes more and more closer to their essence, two things may happen. One, that either the vasanas may dissolve, some of the vasanas may dissolve, not all vasanas never dissolve. But, or our concern with the vasanas may also dissolve. It's like we accept it, okay, if it's there, it's there. And at some point, whenever it is the will of God, whenever the universe wants it, it'll drop. Now, if you want to try, keep trying to quit the habits, to quit the vasanas, but ultimately it's going to happen when it's meant to happen. So when we don't put effort and relax, it is then that the vasanas actually get destroyed. And some vasanas always remain. Not all vasanas are bad also. Okay, Ravindra says, Jagjot, having seen the thoughts are spontaneously rising on their own accord from consciousness, there is no difference between monkey mind and human mind, is there? Yes. See, when this realization comes up that everything is seen and there is no seer, then it doesn't make any difference. It is only a concept then. Because even if thoughts continue to happen, right, there is not much botheration with it because everything is seen. The origin of every thought is then seen as consciousness and not the separate self. So, yes, the overthinking then doesn't create any problem. And if it happens, it happens. If daydreaming happens, even that happens. Even that is accepted. So, yes, then it doesn't matter. It's only till there is this idea that there is a me, a separate self, that is producing the thought, that is owning the thought, and that is suffering the thought. Then it becomes, then the mind gives itself this bifurcation that my mind is monkey mind and I must rectify it. So yeah, you're right in that. Saeed says, is it possible to end hatred through just by witnessing, or by witnessing it, or expression of hate is necessary? Well, hate is one energy and sometimes, yes, it comes up. But you see, in witnessing, there is no separate entity to hate anything or anyone. So, if hate as an emotion is arising, then that means there is this bifurcation between the observer and the observed. So, that is not witnessing. Witnessing means complete acceptance of what is. That means everything accepted the way it is. So, it cannot be used. Witnessing cannot be used to end or start anything. Witnessing is completely detached from any movement that is happening. So Farhan says, one of my friends ended his life 1 year ago. I still can't overcome the trauma. the question arises in my mind, what happens after death? What is death? What is death? Is the truth. I have fear that what if? Yes, when we are afraid that what was born will die, this fear brings up this volley of questions. What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? Because we see suffering associated with that person and also with his family, with people who are close to that person. And also, one feels oneself also as very susceptible to it, that what if this happens to me as well? But yes, at the root of it, again, I would say is the separate self, which thinks it was born and which fears that it will die. But yes, what was born will eventually die. If that acceptance comes about, then there is no fear. So Maharaj would say that know yourself as consciousness. You are consciousness, never born, you never die. Don't rely on memory and say that you never were, that that you were born or that you did not exist before birth. Because memory is fickle. Memory came about, but something new that memory came about. What is that? Be with that. I have fear that what if I did the same? So yeah, so I think I answered that question. Just see what is getting scared, what the center of fear is. Just be with that and see if it is really there or not. It is the me, the separate self, which says, what if this happens to me? How will I manage? What will I do? Or, what will happen? Ritik asks, do you get thoughts? Yes, of course, I get thoughts. I get thoughts, and the only thing is I don't get too much caught up in thinking. So my mind always comes back to here and now, which brings relief. Farhan says my therapy and treatment is ongoing. Yes, continue. No, it's not a problem. I'm not never against therapy or any modality or any treatment. Continue it. Catherine, are you traveling around the world? I missed this one. Well, I do wish to travel around the world, but you see, living in India, it's very costly for me to buy tickets to travel around the world. And yes, I would like to, visit different countries and meet people everywhere. So yeah, I need to plan it properly financially, and also recently, like, there are different challenges with the authorities regarding visa and traveling. Yes, but yes, I plan to visit United States. um, let's see how it works out, if it works out. Kishore says, I feel disconnected in normal interactions and avoid superficial talks. It makes socializing hard and everything feels pointless. How do you handle this? I don't handle anything. If it happens, it happens. I completely accept it. If I don't feel like socializing, I don't socialize. If I feel like socializing, I go out, and I don't make an effort to be with anybody. But if somebody comes up, and then I talk to them, I'm polite with them. But yes, I don't expect that, or I don't believe that I have to socialize or be a certain way. Those things, thank God, I'm free of those things. So I don't care about much about it. P. Chavda says Guru Ramdas said that serving our co-creation is the same as serving God. How does this work? Well, what is co-creation? I don't know much about Guru Ramdas, so I can't comment on this. I need clarity on what is co-creation. Unknown Star says, how is everybody's mind individual? How is your mind different from mine when you and I are the same consciousness? Please clear this. So, you know why this question comes up? That is my curiosity. This question comes up because we are trying to objectify consciousness. We are trying to understand intellectually that consciousness, that one consciousness. And that cannot happen because you see, consciousness is here and now. It is just this recognition, instantaneous realization. It is an impersonal realization. Now, mind has to be different. Your mind and my mind in phenomenality, in appearance, has to be different for interhuman interaction or life as we know to take place. Without that, life as we know is not possible. So, Source has designed it in this way. It the one source appears as many, the one infinite mind appears as finite mind, so that life as we know can happen. And in that infinite, in that finite mind, we both play the games of, one being ignorant, other being knowledgeable, one being guru, one being disciple, one being friend, one being foe. All of this is just the game of one. So, it is the same consciousness that is experiencing itself through the finite minds. So that is my only answer. It is conceptual, but it's the only answer. Okay, Rakesh says, Krishnamurti says that enlightenment can happen with anybody now and here in pure stillness. But you told that it was happened to you by God's grace. Then it will happen, otherwise not. So what is the question here? When Krishnamurti says that enlightenment can happen with anybody, he probably put it in that way. And I just say it is God's grace. I think it is the same thing. It's not different. Okay, Vinny, namaste. How can spirituality help with becoming a better, healed version of yourself? Okay, namaste, Vinny. So, spirituality is an inward movement. Spirituality is not something to do. Spirituality is recognition of that one wholeness or being that is who we are. So, when we realize that we are human beings and not human doings, we naturally begin to rest in our most natural state. And when we begin to rest, the healing happens. The healing for the organism happens. Now, to what extent it happens is not in our control, and generally there is not much concern with that. That means it is not a linear progress. It is not a permanently sustained healing. There will be moments when certain eruptions will happen, but there will be complete acceptance that that is the nature of this organism. So, your own being is your highest place of calm, restfulness, and healing. The recognition of that is true spirituality. And it does not require practices, it just requires bringing yourself here and now. That's it. Edwin says, I have traveled the world, still living in a country I wasn't born in, But since all this happening in your mind, does it matter? I have traveled the world still living in a country I wasn't born in. But since all is happening in your mind, does it matter? Matter to who? Who is asking the question? I know nature and animals matter for your health. Be free. I'm sorry, I did not understand the question properly, but I think what you're trying to say is that does it matter what is happening in your mind? I'm still not very clear about the question. Deb says, Grand Rising and grateful to have you navigate our journey together. Thank you, Deb. Thank you. Lata says, falling back into identity feels painful and gives suffering. It becomes difficult to go back to simply being. How to make this transition quick? Lata, I won't suggest to make this transition quick, because that becomes a desire. It becomes a desire to avoid suffering. So avoidance will not help, but acceptance will help. And yes, I can understand that this flip-flop is extremely painful. And even when I was experiencing it, man, I wanted it to disappear quick. But then at some point, I just completely gave up, and I just realized I can't do anything about it. So I might as well completely surrender. That means if the flip-flop happens, falling back into the identity happens, it just happens. And I don't fight it, I accept it. And that acceptance actually speeds up the transition, But do not try to use a method to fix this fast. Let it happen naturally, organically. Harvinder, what is the content of consciousness? Here, whatever you see right now appearing, good, bad, evil, pure, pious, life as we know, whatever is movement, all movement is content of consciousness. How to be free from it? Investigate who wants to be free from it. Guilt, shame comes from it. Yes, guilt, shame comes from the sense of doership. It comes from the belief that I am a separate entity. I am separate from the rest. I am the doer of my actions. Therefore, when one believes oneself to be the doer of actions, then guilt and shame activates. So investigate if really there is a doer, or are things just happening. When it is realized that there is no individual doer of anything and things are just happening, then there is nobody to feel guilt or shame. Momentarily, everything will be experienced, but it will not stick on into one's memory, or not be registered as guilt, as continuous guilt or shame. Momentarily, guilt or shame may arise from our actions, which is not a bad thing. But its continuation in horizontal time, you see, is the problem. So when this is understood that there is no individual doer, individual entity that is experiencing anything, then there is no question of anybody feeling any guilt or shame. It frees us from all these burdens, and then we become more spontaneous. We become more productive, more creative. Shamla is asking, how do I distinguish between the voice of my ego and the voice of my higher self, my intuition? Notice your energy. You are awareness. You are pure awareness. You always know what your energy is. You are asking this question, Shamla, but I know you know it. And you know that you know it. You always know when it is the voice of ego. The voice of ego has an irritation to it. You may be saying things, but you will feel irritation. You will feel that pain, that suffering, that restlessness within. And when it is coming from quote unquote the higher self, actually everything is coming from the higher self. There is no ego. But this notion of separation, it comes up, it takes charge, and then there is this restlessness, there is this resistance. The ego is the resistance. That means what you're saying, actually, there is a part of you that is also resisting it at the same time. Watch this resistance and it will dissolve. And your content, whatever is coming out from you, whatever you're saying, is going to be completely effortless. And you will notice yourself as, you will continuously know yourself as peace. You will continuously feel peaceful even when you say things, even when you explain things, even when you interact with others. So, it requires subtleness on your part. It requires a very honest admission on your part, but this can happen. It's a very good question. So Abhishek says, if I am okay with what I have, totally satisfied, no complaints, what is the need of spirituality? Yes, if you're completely satisfied and peaceful and have no complaints, there is no need for spirituality. But then you need to ask yourself, and you need to be honest, and you know whether you are honest or not, irrespective of what you say. You know very well whether you are honest or not. Are you at peace internally? Do you experience peace internally? If you experience peace internally, there is no need to follow any spirituality. Okay, Paula says, is having crazy dreams part of awakening? Every single night, I would prefer to have dreamless sleep. I wake up exhausted. Yes, I did experience this phase too. Crazy, scary dreams with dark-eyed demons, dark demons with red eyes. But you see, it's all the psyche. And there is some process happening, which is, you can say, a form of purging, which is clearing the energy channels of the body. So, I would just say, let the processing happen and the dreams will stop. Just know one thing, that you are untouchable. Nothing can touch you, nothing can destroy you. Yes, the dream may feel intense and it may keep us awake many nights. It may happen. But if you drop this notion of separation, that I'm separate, that I'm small, and recognize your infinitude, then there is no problem. Then none of these dark dreams are going to affect. In fact, they do dissolve, and you will start experiencing deep sleep more and more. If you want, you can do a visualization exercise. Now, I'm not referring to the teaching, I'm just explaining you something. You can just imagine a sphere of light around you, which is protecting you. Just remember that sphere of light is always there protecting you, and no energy can enter that, even during dream. Catherine says, what will happen when human body is gone? Catherine, I don't know. There are theories, we can all give theories. Some says there are subtle body which continues, then there is causal body, there is different type of afterlife, concepts of afterlife. And then there is also this concept that actually you just become pure consciousness. Because the separation is, the ego ends, the separation is destroyed. But then there is another concept that the deep samskaras, the subtle energy strands, still coagulate and form a new entity. And then a new separate ego is formed. So life as we know continues. So we don't truly know. But you see, this whole concern with what happens to body, what happens to soul, or is there a soul after life, or what will happen to me after after death of the physical, after disintegration of the physical body, all of this concern actually comes from the separate self. So it is, illusion trying to figure out how to get out of illusion. But it is the only recognition that needs to happen is that it is an illusion. The separate self is an illusion. That's it. Then all of these questions will dissolve. Like you won't even bother if a next life happens or doesn't happen, if there is something afterwards, after this, or not. If there is a heaven that we go to, it doesn't matter, or hell that it won't matter. None of this will matter at all. It's only the separative mind which brings up these ideas, these thoughts, these images. Edwin says, we all come to this world enlightened. It's ignorance that makes us chase ghosts. Have a wonderful day. Love from Spain. Yes, Edwin, thank you. Yes, that's beautiful. We already come into this world enlightened. A child is enlightened because child is spontaneous. Child does not live in concepts. Child will cry when it needs something. It will demand, call mother when it needs something. It will act completely spontaneous, and that spontaneity brings about creativity. That's why children are so creative. They're curious. They're explorers. They're not seekers, they're explorers. There's a difference between seeking and exploring. Seeking is separation, exploring is the end of separation. Exploring is just pure love. I want to know, but I don't care about the thing that I want to know. It's something like that. Okay, Alice says, is enlightenment our goal or reunification with the one source? Both, or it's enlightenment, the channel to reconnect to the one source. You see, the goal is to be free from all goals. The goal is to be free of all the ideas, all the concepts. Because when we are free from all the concepts, from the ideas, even the idea of enlightenment, then it is truly then that we rest in our effortless being, in the source of highest love, where there is no separation between me and the other. Till there is a goal, there will be a seeker. And till there is a seeker, there will be seeking, and seeking is pain and suffering. Okay, Rain Thapa says, it's been almost 3 years since my awakening, but I feel more lost than ever. I'm disconnected, confused, and don't know what to do. Even my desires feel meaningless now. There's often sadness. I don't know where I'm headed, and there's often a heavy sadness that comes without any clear reason. I'm really not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Can you help me make sense of this? So you see, it's just that. So I have actually made several videos on this, and the concept is that when the awakening happens, the structure of the separate self, the person, cracks. So all the ideas that you had, that were given to you from birth about life, about living, about achievement, about desires, there is a crack in all of that, because all of that is the persona, is the person, the separate self. So this confusion is natural after awakening, because what you thought was true and all your efforts towards what was told was the truth, all of your efforts towards it now feel meaningless. So life feels meaningless, and there is this confusion, what am I to do? And it is okay, that confusion is okay. So there is nothing actually to do other than to simply investigate as to who is experiencing all of this. And if something has to come up, if some action has to happen, it will happen on its own. So just be and know that you are whole and complete, and you don't need to add anything to yourself to become whole. That's the idea. I would recommend that you can watch a video which is titled something like "Feeling Lost and Lazy After Spiritual Awakening." If you type that keyword along with Jagjot Singh, I have given a very detailed answer there. So probably that will help you better understand this. Santa Cruz says, I can relate to that. Yes. See, I'll just give you a gist of it. It's like all our ideas about everything, relationships, life, achievement, money, everything begins to crumble down. Now, for some people, it happens when they are nearing their death, towards the end of their life, when they have lost everything, or let's say when they're too old and the body is not cooperating, they feel lonely. Then they feel that it was all meaningless, and there was what they experienced in the moment was not the truth. It was just an experience. Spiritual awakening is like death for the separate self. So now that your center is not as strong as it was earlier, there is bound to be some confusion, because brain patterns still continue to operate in the same way as before, even after awakening. But now the sense of separateness that used to hold those ideas, those beliefs, is not that strong anymore. For example, I may be a very strong religious believer before awakening. I may claim that my religion is the best religion, that only through my religion and through its teaching, people can attain heaven, or people can attain moksha, or enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. You may have this very strong sense within you that life has to be a certain way. A, B, C, D, this. Now, what happens? Awakening happens, an insight happens, an impersonal understanding happens, and now there is a crack in that structure. So of course your religious beliefs will also be cracked. Now you're questioning, oh my God, I was relying on this thing as my savior. I thought I was done. I thought I was sorted. But now life is again bringing me back to square one. So I feel now I'm trapped again. Now I have to again find a purpose, find life, find mission. I don't know. But the dilemma is that I don't know what to do anymore, because nothing gives me satisfaction at the same time, because I don't find any meaning in everything. Everything seems empty. And the nature of everything deep down is emptiness. What appears as solid before awakening, after awakening, that solidity is gone. So the confusion is natural, and there is no solution to this confusion other than to wait and simply let the confusion dissolve. Because confusion comes from separation, and when this separation fades and keeps fading and dissolves into that piece of pure being, then there is no more confusion, there is no more conflict. And that psychological clarity also brings clarity of the brain. So decision making becomes spontaneous. But one has to go through a phase. That phase, unfortunately, cannot be avoided. For some people, it's not that long. For other people, it can be very long. So one just have to accept it if it's continuing. But masters are always giving us pointers, and they're saying you can end it right now, this instant. This teaching is a direct path to wholeness. So it is not based on time, it is based on this understanding that you are pure consciousness. So, so all masters are just giving you the same pointer over and over again. You are wholeness, you are consciousness. You keep drifting here and there, and then you experience pain, and then you come and say that, I'm clueless, I don't know what to do. But you are consciousness, pure consciousness. Let the one that is confused be confused. Completely give in to that confusion and see what happens. You, the real you, cannot be confused because the real you is not separate. So Rakesh says, my question was that if it was not predetermined, then my will or doing, will it make any difference? Okay, I lost the context. You can email it to me probably. I think I'll be able to answer it. Okay, Manna says, when thousands of humans are being genocided around the world daily and 90% are slaves of the rich, we all suffer. You see, who is suffering? Who is the slave? Humanity has always been like this. Today we have a media, today we have people that are doing all these calculations, that are keeping records. Because of the technology, it's become even more easy to keep records. So we can say that this is happening. But this has been happening since the dawn of time. I have heard about Middle Ages and the horrific things that happened there. The question is, who is suffering? Yes, there are people who are actively participating in ideologies, in wars. For them, the physical suffering is there. But what about us? 90% of the time, we are suffering psychologically. We are suffering our imagination more than our reality. Most of us are living in so much comfort. We have access to technology, we have access to communication, we have access to food. Yes, it's not perfect. So there is a difference. See who is suffering. There is the key. Vinny says, how to love your inner child. Your inner child is the separate self. Accept it completely. Be with it and see what it is, what its true nature is. So Manna says, humanity is a tree. When a branch suffers, we all suffer. No. Our suffering is personal. Suffering is always personal. In this moment, you can realize who you truly are and there will be no suffering. When you sleep at night, in deep sleep, there is no suffering. In dream state, you are not even this. You are something else. And you may experience something entirely different. So who's the real you? The one that is here or the one that is in dream? And what is that is there in deep sleep? It's only when you've identified with the mind with ideas, that is where the suffering happens. If you challenge the ideas, if you examine if the ideas are really true or not, then there will be, I have spoken to people who live in abject poverty, and trust me, they are the happiest people I've ever seen. Yes, From our perspective, we may feel that they are living in poverty, they're facing hardships, and there is physical hardship in their life. But I see smiles on their faces. And people like us who sit in offices with all the comforts, people like us, we don't smile. We don't smile because we live in concepts, we live in ideas. And the whole point of this message is to bring us out of those ideas into here and now. Here, whatever is arising. Okay. Beatrice says, why do synchronicities seem to increase during awakening? It adds to the disorientation of all of this. Thank you so much for your kind support. Okay, what do you mean by disorientation? Well, I think synchronicities are beautiful. And it's just that your mind becomes highly alert after awakening, since the separative mind that is constantly thinking, that is constantly analyzing, worried about the future, that mind is now not as solid as it was earlier. So now there is this creative mind, this alert mind. So alert mind does notice synchronicities. But I won't talk much about it. I won't talk much about it because it is not my expertise or my subject. But yes, it does happen. I have noticed it. Do not, I don't think it's disorienting. In fact, it gives us cues. If you want to go into the depth of the subject, I think there are teachers and there are concepts that can be helpful, how to decode these synchronicities. But at some point, you don't care much about it because you know what is destined to happen will happen. So one doesn't seek comfort in knowing about the synchronicities. We just witness them and just be happy. Peggy says, thank you for such enlightening information. Thank you, Peggy. Thanks for joining. Shamla, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we can conclude now. Okay, there is one more question. I'll just answer this and then conclude. After reading Ashtavakra Gita, I lost interest in my goals. I procrastinate a lot. What should I do? What should who do? The Ashtavakra Gita says that you are the unaffected witness of the phenomenal world. You are. When the king Janaka asks Ashtavakra, what is the truth? Ashtavakra says, know yourself as the unaffected witness of the phenomenal world. And that is the truth. So see who is being affected, who is procrastinating, and who wants to do something about it. By the way, I will be taking up Ashtavakra Gita as a core text in the time to come. And those of you who are interested, you can subscribe to the email newsletter or join the WhatsApp group, whichever way you like it. And when I start those series on Zoom, the Ashtavakra teachings, you will be notified and then you can participate in that. Ashtavakra Gita is a very refined text on non-duality and Advaita teachings. And it is a direct pointer. And I will be giving my own interpretation of that subject. I don't know when I'm going to start, but I'm planning for it, and hopefully soon. So you can be a part of that message. All right. I think we will conclude for now. Thank you all for joining and being here. Take care.